Good evening, everyone. Today, we'll be talking about one of a very famous personality in the field of public administration, someone who is too often asked in UPSC civil services. The great man, as we all know probably, is F.W. Taylor, or else also known as the father of scientific management. Now, Frederick Winslow Taylor, or commonly known as F.W. Taylor, who actually gave birth to scientifism in the way of working, especially in a mechanical or a kind of production factories, is a person who gave us too much impetus on the idea that something which he is telling about a workshop is equally applicable in various other fields related to administration. See, if we understand the arena Taylor entered into was the time when after 18th century, the world has revolutionized the way of working. Industrial revolution was knocking on our door. So definitely, we were working far too efficiently, way too much extra, something which has never been done on such a large scale. However, if one liner has to be told about this kind of condition, is that while the whole of the focus was heavy-heartedly on increasing mechanization, the idea was all about that how we can increase more and more factories. How during the times of industrial revolution, we just made sure that people are shifting from their homes to factories. Mechanization is taking place. People are running factories. People are running machines in those factories. We are hiring people also. However, there wasn't this absolute chaos. इसको ऐसा समझ के देखो कि जैसे एक ऐसी शादी ब्याह चल रहा है जिसमें किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि किसी को करना क्या है और हर कोई अपना ज्ञान दिए जा रहा है. बहुत सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं बट काम उतना एफिशिएंटली नहीं हो पा रहा. कुछ लोग जरूरत से ज्यादा काम कर रहे हैं और कुछ लोग जरूरत से ज्यादा ही कम काम कर रहे हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे सैलरी तो आई जानी है. जो लोग सैलरी दे रहे हैं उनको भी नहीं पता कि किसको कितना इक्वली सैलरी देनी चाहिए. हम सबको इक्वल लेवल पे सैलरी दे रहे हैं और यहाँ पे किसी के पास भी कोई इंसेंटिव नहीं है कि हम थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा काम कैसे कर सकें. भाई एक्स्ट्रा काम करे तो क्यों करे. कोई इंसान दिन में 15 बार चाय के ब्रेक ले रहा है, कोई इंसान एक भी बार नहीं ले रहा क्योंकि वो एफिशिएंटली एक अच्छा वर्कर है. कुछ लोग एक्चुअली अच्छे कंट्रीब्यूटर्स होते हैं काम में, जो काम को काफी एथिकली करते हैं. हाउएवर, those people are not rewarded. So for them, it's a kind of punishment that if we are ethically working, if we are duly and fairly handling our responsibilities, but what else we are getting in return? In that particular scene, F.W. Taylor came with his one of the finest weapons, with just one weapon at that point of time, which was probably even fierce than any nuclear bombs. That was, can you think of anything? That is a stopwatch. He made sure that he started timing everything. He made sure that he started recording everything, that how much seconds you will have to take from going from a place, from a workstation to another workstation. I'll have to record it. I will mechanize everything. Why? Because then I'll be able to understand that if you were supposed to take those kind of breaks or not, if you could have lifted that weight or not, if you could have chopped that metal or not, I should know. It should not be a rule of thumb that sometimes some people come and tell me that I have let's say cut it down some 10 sheets of metal and someone has just done 5 sheets of metal. Everyone is saying that, see, I was efficiently working. I just don't know how it happened. The managers also don't know. If they are workers A and B, both they are working duly. If both of them are spotted that they are not taking breaks also. Okay, they are working over there. They have seen on their workstations and they both have been doing 8 to 10 hours of shift. and yet someone is doing 10 metal sheets and someone is just able to do just 3 or 4 of them. So solution is not clear. Why it's so happening? For all this chaos, Taylor came into picture. Now, a brief idea about Frederick Winslow Taylor is that Frederick Winslow Taylor started his early career as just a laborer. However, in just 6 years of time, he was promoted as the chief engineer of the steel plant he was working in. And soon he started observing things in a very close perspective. And he got to understand that there are n number of flaws in the way how people are working. In his theory, he gave some of the very important key work he has done, he is recognized for. That is the piece rate system, 1885, then the shop management, 1903, art of cutting metals in 1906, and finally the principles of scientific management in 1911. Now, they look like great things. They look like bigger theoretical academic names, but they are very easy ideas. And think of that thing that in 1885 or in early 20th century, these small things was also a kind of principles which transform the administration for forever. और जब इनके बारे में समझोगे तो शायद तुम्हें लगेगा कि अगर आज से 100 साल पहले पैदा होते तो शायद हमारा भी नाम एकेडमिक बुक्स में लिया जाता, क्योंकि ये तो हम भी दे सकते थे. चलो देखते हैं इन्होंने दिया क्या. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द आइडिया इज पीस रेट सिस्टम. पीस रेट सिस्टम इसलिए दिया गया कि हमें पता हो कि एक वर्कर से हमें कितने पीसेस काम कराना है. एक वर्कर को हमें फिक्स नंबर ऑफ पीसेस देने चाहिए. जो उससे ज्यादा करेगा हम उसे इंसेंटिव देंगे, और जो उससे कम कर रहा है, रेगुलरली कम कर रहा है, the organization need to fire them, replace them, bring someone to that job who is able to meet up the expectation of the people. Simple idea. इनसे पहले कोई 10 घंटे में 4 कपड़े शर्ट्स बना रहा है, कोई 10 घंटे में 10 शर्ट्स बना रहा है, हम दोनों को इक्वल पे दिए जा रहे हैं, कोई डिफरेंस ही नहीं है. तो पहली चीज उन्होंने की कि हमको ये फिक्स करना पड़ेगा कि हमारे को 1 घंटे में 10 घंटे में कितनी प्रोडक्टिविटी चाहिए, और उसी हिसाब से हमें ड्यूली लोगों को रिवॉर्ड करना पड़ेगा. ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर बेसिस ओनली वी हैव टू फिक्स देयर वेजेस एंड इंसेंटिव सिस्टम. इजी आइडिया, राइट? देयर इज द आइडिया ऑफ शॉप मैनेजमेंट. टेलर टॉक्ड अबाउट दैट shops need to be duly managed. Shops mean the workflow needs to be duly managed. He talked about that, see, we need to have specifically some of the supervisors who are dedicated to a particular job. What does that mean? We should not have, हमारे पास ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि एक सुपरवाइजर है और वो 4 लोगों को सुपरवाइज कर रहा है ना, क्योंकि ये सुपरवाइजर जनरलिस्टिक हो जाएगा, समथिंग जो आज के जमाने के आईएएस ऑफिसर्स के लिए भी कहा जाता है. हमें क्या चाहिए कि हमारे पास 8 सुपरवाइजर्स लाओ. वो 8 सुपरवाइजर्स बेसिकली स्पेशलाइज होंगे अपने अपने फील्ड में, एंड दे विल बी ड्यूली परफॉर्मिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर जॉब विच दे आर टोल्ड. So, for example, there might be a time boss whose job is just to make sure that how much time these people are taking to perform a particular task, to finish a particular task, and if there is any kind of barrier, if there is any kind of challenges coming in between, that they are not duly able to perform that job, he is the one the workers have to approach to. There should be, let's say, a boss. Think of it like, for example, आज हमारे यहाँ पे अगर हम एक आईएएस ऑफिसर्स को ही रेवेन्यू की भी ड्यूटी दे दे, पुलिस की भी ड्यूटीज दे दे, हम उन्हें रेलवे की भी ड्यूटी दे दे, वी डोंट वांट दैट. वी वांट कि अगर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का इशू है तो वो आईपीएस संभाले, अगर रेवेन्यू का इशू है तो वो आईआरएस ऑफिसर संभालेंगे. समथिंग लाइक दैट, दैट वी नीड स्पेशलाइजेशन इन द सुपरवाइजर्स, एंड दैट्स हाउ वी नीड टू मैनेज द शॉप फ्लोर. And the simplest of it, the theory which Taylor gave, was the art of cutting metals. He is like कि अगर मैं एक इतनी बड़ी शीट देता हूँ लोगों को, तो मुझे ये पता होना चाहिए कि शीट को एग्जैक्टली साइंटिफिक तरीके से काटना कैसे है. What is the exact scientific manner that, for example, if I have to chop 4 square pieces of metal sheets from a larger metal sheet, if I have to chop 4 pieces of metal from this large metal sheets, I have to tell people the exact scientific manner in which this particular sheets can be actually chopped down. Else what will happen, the idea, for example, some worker will start from here, from the center. So he'll be wasting too much metal because now there won't be space to take out 3 more sheets out of it. Also, if he's starting from the center, he will take too much time to exactly reach out to the center first. So we need more scientific ideas that how easily and how from where basically the initial steps has to be taken. कोने से काटना है, बीच में से काटना है, very easy of the ideas. But हमारे को make sure करना है कि उनके particular हर एक तरीके को हम उन्हें सिखाएं. वो अपने हिसाब से, they should not be just thrown onto the field, they should not be just thrown onto the field, and they should be expected that they are working with the best interest for the organization. Now anyways, we'll talk about all these simple ideas in a more possibly detailed manner. Now let's just talk about Taylor in a funny manner. Think about Taylor enters a scene as a chief engineer, let's say. Scene 1, क्या देखते हैं? What he sees? He sees that when he enters a factory, there is a person who is lifting 50 kgs. There is a person who is lifting 5 kgs. And then there is a person who is lifting on as per his mood. If he wants to lift, he is lifting. If he does not want to, he is like, okay, right now I'm not in a aura. Aesthetics are not matching or something. Okay, today I'm not feeling like it. I'll do it later someday. This is not how the industry can work, right? But Taylor saw this kind of chaos. And even in this particular scene, if the workers are moody, someone is lifting 5, someone is lifting 5 kg, someone is 50, and someone is barely working, the supervisors are also having clueless. It's not the workers who are clueless, the supervisors are also clueless. The supervisors are just shouting, do it quicker, do it faster, just keep on doing it. They have no clue. They can't tell person that exactly, okay boss, I'll do faster. You tell me how exactly I have to do faster. कैसे करूं fast? आप बता दो मुझे. They are not able to tell. For Taylor, he might be scratching his head ki, what's going on? Is it a playground without any rules? Who is telling them? Who is guiding them? Now, to solve this chaos, Taylor came with this idea. He took out his legendary weapon. You remember his legendary weapon? Yes, the stopwatch. He took out the stopwatch and he started observing how you lifted, how much time it took for you to lift, how many steps you took, how many breaks you took, each and everything. In a funny manner, a lot of workers used to say that भागो, ये भी नोटिस करेंगे कि तुम कितनी देर तक आंखें झपकाते हो, इनकी स्टॉपवॉच चल रही है. However, fun things apart, he started monitoring everything. And that's the moment of genius. That's that particular moment of time, Taylor came up with this scientific theory that, see, no industry can work like this. If you will just keep on guessing, the industry won't work. For the industry to work, You need to look into all the criticism. He gave a lot of criticism to actually the performance of that industry at that point of time. And he said, see, this is not how it's going to work. Right now, no one has the clarity. No one has the clarity for what they are expected of. What is their responsibilities? What amount of work they need to perform? How much amount of work they need to perform? If they perform extra, will they be rewarded? If they perform less, there is no fear of getting any punishments. The supervisors are also not clear about their responsibilities. There is no particular standard. How much we are expecting, what kind of job we are expecting. See, today, a HR before appointing you will be telling you. For example, a day you will be appointed as IPS also. There will be some standards, there will be some metric on which your performance will be analyzed. They will be asking you that, okay, your law and order situation has worsened. Earlier, there used to be like 5 murders happened in a year. All of a sudden, since the day you joined the job, from that day to the next year, all of a sudden there are 15 murders going on. Now, we wanted decrease in the number of murders. So clearly there are some standards which are set. The standards which exactly seeks are our performance analysis. That how exactly we are performing the job. See, without a standard, how exactly you will be promoted also. You will be going to the HR at the end of your annual cycle and you will be coming up with the idea that, see, I want more money. And what exactly will be the parameters you will be showing them off that why exactly you deserve that more money? You won't have any idea. So we need to start standardization. We need to provide job clarity to people that what exactly is their job. Today, there is a person who is appointed as a guard. Tomorrow, that person cannot act like a manager. Today, if a person is, let's say, if it's a workshop where cars are made, what used to happen that the morning they will come, there will be a manager on the floor, and on some days the person who used to fit windows into the car, all of a sudden he will be like, see, we have a shortage of people in the section where they are attaching the tires, please go start doing job over there. Now, he does not know how to add on to the tires. But he is thrown onto that job without any amount of training. And if he is underperforming, if the performance for the whole of the organizations are not up to the standards, it is the workers who are blamed. The workers blame management that, see, we don't get enough amount of money, we don't get rewards while the management is going out for Europe tours and all that, there they are eating blueberries and chocolava cakes, while we are not, we are just paid pennies on the dollars. At the same time, whenever there were losses, the management will fire the people without any kind of reasoning. So there was always this tussle. This tussles led to a lot of strikes at that point of time. Because clearly the organizations were lacking an absolute scientific way of how exactly you are supposed to be doing a job. Okay? And there comes Taylor's principles of scientific management. Now, before we talk about it, let's write something about F.W. Taylor. Write down Frederick Winslow Taylor, F-R-E-D-E-R-I-C-K. Frederick Winslow Taylor is known as the father of scientific management. Full stop. His ideas were developed during the early industrial revolution, where factories suffered from low productivity, untrained workers, Rule of thumb methods. Rule of thumb methods. And high conflict between management and workers. And high conflict between management and workers. Next paragraph. Taylor's core aim was to replace this traditional intuitive based trial and error methodology by scientific, systematic, measurable and optimized methods. Full stop. Taylor saw, next paragraph, Taylor saw that in the present time working of that era, there was an absolute disregard for scientificness. In an industry. He saw that there is a lack of clarity and responsibility. Both among the workers and the management. Full stop. He also saw that it was the workers who had to bear the force of losses as the higher management never took the blame onto themselves. Full stop. Next paragraph. Taylor came up with his scientific management principles. As he believed that there was one best way of doing the job. Do underline that. There is a one best way of doing the job. That one best way can be determined via time study, work study, routine study, and even the standardizations of tools and processes. He requested that the management should shift from intuition to science-based management. Full stop. He also believed that an organization can achieve the best possible results via cooperation between management and workers. as higher productivity will lead to shared prosperity. Will lead to shared prosperity. Will lead to shared prosperity. Full stop. Write down, put up a next heading. Principles of scientific management. Principles of scientific management. One of the first principles Taylor came up is the idea of, and the first principle is the development of true science of work. What does that development of true science of work means? It means that, see, we have to break down a big task into small tasks. And then we have to think about, ponder our thoughts upon that small task. Every particular nitty-gritty of that small task needs to be studied. It should not be a rule of thumb. Rule of thumb means जिसने जो बोला, जिसका मन जो किया वो होने का. ऐसा नहीं होने का. We have to work upon the idea that, okay, this is the scientifically best method for every other thing. If there is a particular scientific method also for me to write on this board, if there is a best way, do that. It will enhance the productivity. And it will also set a standardization for all the generations who are coming forward. Then you can develop a training module also. For example, in today's day, our government of India is thinking about Mission Karma Yogi. That, see, this is the method we are going to be training. These are the principles on which we are going to be training our future generation of civil servants. We need to develop some particular standards that what exactly are the parameters we are expecting from our civil servants. If they are able to meet up that standards, then it's a good job. If not, then we have a clear time growth, a kind of standard time or a standard metric on which we can develop an idea if he or she is able to perform in that particular scenario in his best of abilities or not. If not, provide them more training. If after training also they are not able to meet up the standards, you need to replace them. Getting it? And with this idea comes the second principle of Taylor, that is the scientific selection of worker and the work. It talks about the idea that you should not just randomly allocate work onto people. Now, if a person, you see that he's a very lean person, बहुत पतला दुबला सा है, and he won't be able to lift up heavy weight. So you are not supposed to put him into a department where he was required to lift up heavy weight. You look, you observe that person, you train that person, and then you bring out the best into him. If he can do particularly, he can excel in the areas where he is just supposed to close up the bolts. Maybe because of his soft hands, he can bend those screws very easily. So he might be faster in that job. So appoint that person over there. Just because he's a Sachin Tendulkar, you cannot think that he can act like a best coach. In fact, Mumbai Indians does not hire Sachin as the coach. He's there as a mentor. We have great of the batsmen. India has produced one of the finest batsmen of the centuries, yet our batting coach is Vikram Rathod. Someone who has barely has, I guess, 2 or 3 innings of international cricket to his name. Or Mr. Majumdar, who is the coach of women's Indian cricket team, who just helped the women Indian cricket team to win the first ever World Cup. But he has never played for international cricket. But if you observe, he has a good coaching skills. So bring him up. It's okay. Give him the job if he's suiting up to that job. Scientifically pick people. Getting it? Then the third principle comes with the idea, harmony, not discord. It talks about the idea that, see, you are not supposed to think it as a win-lose game. If this is a profit pie, you think that giving the share to the workers is reducing your share of the pie, then do one thing, you increase the share of the pie. So that even giving this will go more to the workers, and we should be productively contributing to increase the profits of the organization, rather than thinking of how we can take some more from the portion of the workers. How in the time of loss era we can just fire off some workers and enhance our salaries for the higher administration. No. We all must work in tandem. We all must work in harmony. We all must think of that we have to bring together management as well as the workers on the same platform. We should not think of this idea. See, even today there is a resistance for automation. We must not think about like that. Even today, people are not adapting the idea that they have to grow up as per the demands of the new technology. But you have to teach them. Teach them also so that they can also earn more. They can also, grow more with that. Work cooperatively. Do not always give the blame on to them. In fact, the manager should say that, see, the buck stops at me. The bullet stops at me. In front of the management, he should take the responsibility on his head. Later on, he should go and scold his workers also that if they are duly not performing. See, sometimes it could be the fact also that the machines are not good. You as a management has not provided them better machines. So you cannot always blame the workers for that low productivity. Work harmoniously. It's not the people. It's not about the positions. See, organizations should not work about that idea of discrimination that we are the higher management, we won't go and talk to the workers. No. It's not about position. It's about the people. It's about the whole organization together. So work together in a harmonious manner. Okay? And the final principle is the equal division of responsibility among the workers and the management. But all this thing will come only with the final idea of Taylor, that's a mental revolution. See, the higher management is not interested in living up their luxurious chairs or AC rooms. So it's going to be a huge challenge for people to understand, to not see each other as adversaries, to not see each other as competitors, to not gain more from the surplus or work in an equitable fashion. No, they are discrimination on the basis of region, on the basis of caste, on the basis of gender. People do not work like that. But we have to. For that, we'll need a mental revolution. We need an enhanced thinking. And that's how we'll be increasing the productivity. Right? Now, Taylor met with huge amount of criticism also because of this. A lot of people told him that you are just treating workers as a cog in a machine. For you, they are not humans. You are timing everything, whatever they are doing. This is not humanly. The workers told that because of your standards, now organization know that how many workers they have to hire, and there was a mass amount of firing also. Because earlier there were so many people who were making unions and they were not working efficiently, but they were protected because of the unions. Now new contracts were defined, now new standards were set up, so now workers were laid off. People also said that you made a work job very mechanical. There is no job for innovation. Right? Anyways, we'll read more about in detail about the criticism and how Taylor defended himself in the next lecture. Okay? Till the time, take care. Think of new examples which you can think. For example, recently I give you a hint how you can learn into the current affairs. Recently, the central government has clubbed down 29 of the labor laws into 4 of the centralized laws to bring more efficiency, to bring more scientificism. Earlier there was 10 definitions of wages. Now there is a standard definition of wages. So you can add on to these ideas also. For example, economy mein we are using this Gati Shakti national master plan, where we are going to be using data, time measurement, analysis of the logistics, everything. So it is what? It is just the work time analysis proposed by Taylor. Anyways, we will connect more things with the current affairs in the more classes to come. Till the time, duly revise, and I hope you got to understand a bit about Taylor today. Take care guys, have a good day.